really is our call as leaders, and especially in defending the dignity of the human person and working to restore that. Introduce to you a really wonderful, she came out from California, Michaeline, thank you. Michaeline Friedenberg is here, and she founded and works for a company called Abortion Changes You, Life Perspectives, and there's some information in the back, and she'll be speaking about that. But really what a great gift she is to learn from really this great entry point of how abortion can affect men, women, and children in all ages when it takes place. And she's really appeared on numerous television and radio programs, including EWTN's At Home with Jim and Joy. She's a frequent speaker at universities and events speaking about this, and this mission she has, this company, or this organization that she founded, Abortion Changes You. And so I just want to invite her up, and if you could join me in welcoming her all the way from California, so great blessing.
Thank you so much, Larissa and Mike. It's really a great honor to be with you here today and to share with you a little bit about how we can communicate with men and women touched by abortion that they're not alone and that healing is available. And as Carissa mentioned, I'm part of the Abortion Changes You outreach, and this outreach is something for me that is really close to my heart. I had an abortion when I was 18, and at the time I thought, when I walked into that clinic, I wasn't happy about what I was doing, but I felt that it was an acceptable choice for me to make. However, when I left the clinic, I felt completely different. I felt so much loss and grief and guilt and a lot of confusion because I had not ever heard of anybody talking about experiencing their abortion that way. And over the next couple of years, my life just spun out of control until I was desperate enough to overcome my own fear of judgment and actually confide in someone and reach out for help. And that's when I learned that I wasn't alone and that there were many people who were eager to help me to heal. And as I began that healing process, in time, I reached that point where my level of pain had decreased enough where I could focus on others. And then I began to think about, are there others who are feeling in a similar way? And I thought that sharing my story could be something that I could do to communicate to people that they're not alone. But before I could do that, I needed to talk to my parents. They had no idea. And it wasn't until I shared with them and with my sister that I realized that this person wasn't just my child, this was a member of our family. And so I watched my parents grieve, I watched my sister grieve. And over the years, I've now had the privilege of hearing the stories from thousands of men, women, family members, and friends who have been touched by abortion. And the website, abortionchangesyou.com, which we were going to take a peek at, but now you get to take a peek at it on your own. I encourage you to do that. There now have been over 200,000 visits to that website. And some of the men and women, when they come anonymously, they learn they're not alone, and they can participate in some interactive activities. And one of the things they can do is share their stories. And I wanted to share a few of the recent stories that have been submitted. I've never written my abortion story out like this before. And as I write this, I have tears streaming down my face. I will never stop regretting my abortion. And I will always dream the sweetest dreams about my babies. That's where we meet. But maybe one day, I hope, I can learn to cope, move on, and find forgiveness. From another, in 2000, my daughter had an abortion. My grandson or granddaughter would be a teenager now. There are only a few things in life that can crush your soul, and I think this has for me. She is forever changed. So am I. I find myself wishing that I had been aborted instead of my sibling. I sometimes feel like my sibling would have been a better person for my family than I am. I feel guilty that I survived, and she didn't. and one more. The story of my little one ended on August 24th, 1995. For the last 20 years, I have dealt with anger and rage. I suffer every day knowing what has been lost and dealing with the guilt. I grieve from time to time as circumstances allow. It would be so easy to let it consume me. Instead, I turn to God's promise that I will see that little one someday. Still, some days in the quiet, if you were passing by, you would wonder at the sound of a man sobbing. In the United States this year, more than 1 million abortions will be performed. We're told statistically by the time a woman is 20, 1 in 10 will have had an abortion. By the time that she's 30, 1 in 4, and by the time she's 45, 3 in 10. And then of course there was a man who was involved in this decision, and then there's all the other family members and friends. According to some surveys, 78% of women who have abortions report a religious affiliation, and half of these women report attending church regularly. So certainly they are sitting in our parishes, and then sitting next to us at work, and across the counter when we go to the grocery store or restaurant. Really, we've reached a time in our culture where it's rare not to know somebody who has been touched by abortion. So since abortion was legalized, there have to be tens of millions of men and women who have lost family members this way. Yet, most of them remain isolated and alone. They feel that they're the only ones who feel this way, and no one has given them permission to grieve. Often shame, secrecy, and the lack of cultural support will keep them from reaching out to others. And although we know that the church is the safest place for someone to go, it's really not often viewed that way. So the Abortion Changes You outreach was developed to communicate to men, women, family members, and friends who are struggling after an abortion that they're not alone and healing is possible. The outreach is often described as a gentle invitation and a place to start. And then it can become a bridge to more. And you're blessed with lots of more in this area. Of course, we have Rachel's Vineyard here today. So if someone's coming to the website and they realize that they need more help, then they can reach out to their local organizations who offer that support. As I already mentioned, on the website, which is in English and Spanish, we've had over 200,000 visitors since 2008. Additionally, we have some printed resources that are used as take-home pieces where someone can use that in their own time. It's something that's become a favorite amongst many pregnancy centers, churches, and therapists who then give them to the men and women that they're working with. We have the resources available in Italian as well, and they're being translated right now into Russian and Mandarin. And then in recent years, we began to get requests from priests, deacons, lay leaders, pregnancy centers, therapists, who were asking for help in how to create a safe place. What I was hearing is that they're saying that we know that there are people who are hurting that we're interacting with, and we're distressed that they're not coming to us. They're not reaching out for help. And so we want to know, is there anything that we can do to help them to know that we're a safe place to come to? And so we've had the honor of developing training sessions and healing resources to help equip them. We do that usually like in half-day or full-day seminars, and then that's something that we're actually now expanding by launching, it should be next week, our Creating a Safe Place website. And this will be a website for leaders and helpers like yourself, where you can access downloadable training tools, also streaming audio and video that can help to prepare you. So often, because we don't talk about our personal abortion experiences, we really feel unequipped to help somebody else. We don't know what to say. We often fear that somehow we'll make things worse. And so that's what this website is meant to help you with. Because I know with your relationship skills and the love and the passion and compassion that you have, that you are very equipped. You're the perfect people to reach out to. We just lack a little bit of practice and some of the practical tools. So I encourage you to stop by our table before you leave today, and you can pick up some sample resources that you can take back to your parish. And then certainly if you want to communicate any further, I'd be happy to do that. In closing, I wanted to share one last story for you from the Abortion Changes You website that illustrates, I believe, the hope and healing that you are bringing and you're going to continue to bring to hurting men and women in the Phoenix area. It is well with my soul, finally. Thank you, because I thought I was the only one who felt guilt, shame, regret, and sadness. For 30 years, I thought I was the only one who felt like this. But now I know that God loves me and everyone else, no matter what we've done or how much we punish ourselves. God doesn't want us to suffer. God bless you. May it be well with your soul, too. Thank you very much.
For sharing and for sharing your heart and your story. It's so powerful and impacting. And I think really puts, it makes concrete what you were saying, Bishop, about how mercy restores dignity. And that's really what you're doing. So thank you for all your work.